Simon Lister, and I'm chair of the Essex Local Nature Partnership. The Essex Local Nature Partnership was established because of a requirement in the 2021 Environment Act that every local authority now has a duty to conserve and enhance biodiversity. And the partnership was set up to bring all the different stakeholders together to try and drive nature recovery in Essex and to work in partnership with all these different stakeholders to achieve that. The role of the local nature partnership is, as I said, to try and encourage and promote nature recovery in Essex. But the particular role and the value that it adds is it brings the different sectors together. So, for example, we've got farmers, we've got developers, we've got NGOs, we've got local authorities, we've got all the sort of key stakeholders that can make a difference working together to try and figure out how can we actually deliver nature recovery in Essex and make it happen. And that's our key function. Yes, I mean, we've got a number of targets. I mean, firstly, we have to come up with a local nature recovery strategy. That's a duty under the Environment Act. But we've also identified 4 key targets. I mean, the first and arguably the most important is to effectively double the amount of natural green space in Essex by 2030. It's actually about 14% of the county is now natural green space, and we've got a target to make that 25%, which is almost double by 2030. We've also got a target to have 50% of Essex farmland being sustainably managed by 2030. And that is particularly key because despite Essex being quite a developed county, it is still largely agricultural, and more than 60% of the county is farmland. So if we're going to achieve our nature recovery objective, we've got to work with farmers and having more sustainable farming. So farmers still produce food because we need food, but doing it in a way that is more nature friendly, as well as being more climate friendly, is going to be sort of key to the future. And that can be done, but working with farmers is going to be key. And then the other 2 targets are sort of people targets. We've got one in 4 people in Essex doing something for wildlife by 2030. And we've got another one of enhancing access to natural green space so that everybody in the county has access to natural green space by 2030. Most people do now, but there are still quite a few areas where access is not good. And we think if we want people to take action for wildlife and to support nature recovery, it's right and proper that they should have access to it to be able to enjoy and appreciate it and support its recovery. Well, it's a key part of the Climate Commission. And indeed, I was a commissioner on the Climate Commission. I think globally, something like 25% or somewhere between 20 and 25% of global carbon emissions come from land use. So we have to make the way we manage land more nature friendly, which is good for nature, but it's key to carbon as well. I mean, I was talking earlier about sustainable farming. For example, I was a couple of days ago at a farm outside Braintree, which is about 1,600 acres. And for the last 10 years, they have been doing direct drilling only. So no ploughing, no tilling, direct putting seeds into the soil. And they found that not only are they still able to produce pretty much the same yields as elsewhere, but their input costs are much lower because they're not having to plow and drill. And also, not only are they producing food, but they're managing to sequester carbon into the soil, because every time you plow land, you release carbon into the atmosphere. But if you don't plow and you're doing this direct drilling technique, then your carbon gets sequestered, it gets captured in the soil. And that is a way, it's a key way that we've got to change our land use. So instead of emitting carbon, it's actually sequestering it. And you're helping nature at the same time. So the sort of relationship between what we're trying to do to tackle climate change and what we're trying to do to promote nature recovery are very closely intertwined. But clearly we need to do it in a way that produces food as well. And what is sort of frustrating is that actually it's perfectly possible to do that. Some Essex farmers are already doing it, but our job is to encourage a whole lot more. I think a key message is that we can do it. It's not impossible and it's not too late. It's getting close, but it's not too late. So we can succeed in addressing climate change. But I think my key message to people, apart from the fact that it is possible, is that you can really help. Everybody can really help, and you can do it in two ways. One, make sure you buy locally. Not importing stuff with a huge carbon footprint. Where you possibly can, buy local. And secondly, if you have access to any sort of land yourself, whether it's a little garden or whether you're working with a volunteer in a community, get engaged and help. Let's make more nature on land, because if you do that, you're going to help climate as well. And there's some fantastic local groups in Essex. I mean, for example, in Manningtree, there's something called PACE, the Practical Action for Climate and Environment. They're doing amazing stuff there in helping Manningtree address the climate challenge, but also have nature recovery. And there are community groups like that all over the county. So if you can, get involved, or if you can't get involved, support what they're doing. And by doing that, you'll be making an enormous difference and greatly helpful.